Hey everyone, I'm Randy Searles. I started this community, and we're going to be joined with Dan and Laura in a second. Hey, Dan. Hey, Dan.
What's up, Randy? How you doing, man?
Good man. Laura's going to be here in a second, but we can. I'm not sure we need to do intros anymore. So
We've
we'll
met it
just
many times.
yeah. But let me tell Laura we're here. She can come in early.
I don't know. Let's see. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. How's the new project going?
It's doing good. We just started on Monday. I think we got like 15 people, which is a good start. Um, I don't think I've invited you. I could send you an invite if you're interested.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Fucking join. I mean, tell me what you want my role in this thing to be. I'm happy to join in and answer questions or do conversation or just participate.
Well, the other one, Laura's going to talk about it more right in a minute. But it's more of a writers community where we have writing hours where you sit there with other people and write, and then you get sent little exercises every day if you want to do them that help you write better hooks for your books, for your chapters, help you choose specific words if for your sentences when you're writing about specific things like thrilling things or romance or fantasy. So basically, we know there's a lot of writer communities out there, and we wanted to do something different. So we wanted to do something that isn't just isn't only a writer support group where like, hey, let's write together. We wanted to have like editor Q&A, which we have over there, but we just answer questions basically. But we also have all these kind of exercises. So instead of a writer, what people call writer sprints, we actually have like a 5 minute teaching thing at the beginning of the writer sprint. Like, hey, don't forget to anchor your scene with POV and time and place, so that the reader is really knows already knows what's going on, and they're not searching for that information and distracted in the beginning of the book. And then we write for an hour and we talk about it at the end.
Awesome. That sounds fun. I don't think I participate every day, but I'd love to hop in when we can.
Hey, Laura.
Hello.
Or
All right, so we're going to dedicate this whole thing to the Writers Athenaeum. That's the name, Dan. I'll send you a link after this,
I like
and
it.
then you can join too. But I wanted to invite you here, Laura, because you're our what's your title again?
Oh, we all made up our own titles. I'm director of curriculum and instruction, but it's not very funny. I want something better because everybody else's titles are funny.
Mine's pretty serious. I'm the director of synergy.
Right. Like I said.
Director of Synergy. So like Laura said, yes, not a serious title. You get
Right.
I don't know. Do I have a title? Am I part of this thing? Am I just guy that's not there?
I feel like
I don't
I
know.
feel like
I have no
you're
idea.
part of my rally point, but you're not part of the other thing. You could be a
I don't know.
member, but you're as far as I'm concerned, you're part of my rally point. We just haven't figured out what that is yet.
You tell me. I didn't know we were on a new thing, to tell you the truth. I thought this was all the same thing. So I'm behind the times, clearly.
Well, I started three simultaneously. So I also started Space Authors with another story grid editor, which is all about science fiction. Which is of all of the three of them is only paid persons in that one.
So there's no cake to divide at this point. You're like, it doesn't really matter how much you share the pie is when there's no pie. So you're like, I get it. It's a game we play a lot.
There's no reason to argue over the pieces because there's no money to be made at the moment anyway. But anyway, let's talk about Writers Athenaeum, and we Laura and I and another two other people that we kind of got together, Riley and Leah, and we wanted to make something different because, like I said, Dan, there's a lot of writing support groups out there. Some of them do well, and some of them don't. Most of them are like there to support authors, which we're obviously there too. But we actually sat down for a few hours or days or weeks and said, how can we be different and still support the authors? And I mean, I'll be honest, Laura came up with a lot of the ideas, and we all kind of talked through them and tried to mature them together. But that's why Laura's title's got to be like Grand Archmage or something like that
I
because
like that.
What's the Athenaeum? It's like you gotta be Greek themed though. The Greek themed.
Yeah.
well,
Hierophant.
the title was the hardest part because because of AI, everything's taken that has writer, author, scriber, anything you can think of, with a quill, a pen, a pencil, and a piece of paper has been taken. And then I saw Athenaeum go through a list once, and I was like, Athenaeum, and then we couldn't find anything else. My best contribution was Dragon Writers, WR Writers, not Writers,
Oh yeah.
and that was taken too. And also I got some thumbs down from some people who have no taste.
That'd be me. You got
the
them
group,
to me.
It's
and
like
then
to go with the dragon theme. Very strong dragon theme.
Leah, one of the other partners, she came up with Athenaeum after we'd already decided on 3 or 4 names, and Laura had put a lot of work in dedicated to videos with those names. So
It was one name. We had picked a name, and we were all agreed on the name, and I did a bunch of stuff with that name. And then she was like, "Look, guys, hear me out. I have one more to throw in the ring." And I was like, "I'm gonna murder you."
I think you said you're a blocker.
Yeah, I did. I said I was gonna block her number.
But then it turned out to be a pretty good idea, and it wasn't taken, and we got the domain name. So it's the Writers Athenaeum, and I'm going to let Laura describe it because there's all kinds of cool stuff in there, and there's future cool stuff. And we already got our dirty dozen that have joined us and are working us since yesterday. So go ahead, Laura. What do you got?
What do I got? Well, let's see.
How are we different?
Well, yeah. So that was one of the things you mentioned was like we spent a lot of time. I mean, I don't know that we spent a lot of time necessarily talking about like how are we different per se. We spent a lot of time talking about what it is that we want to do, like what do we want to offer. And I think that it is different than what a lot of stuff is out there, but that wasn't necessarily. I mean, we weren't like trying to be special so much as we were just trying to figure out very clearly what we want to do. And the thing is, we're all editors. We're all developmental editors. And we think that editing is really important and getting editorial feedback on your work is really important to produce a good book and to learn and grow as an author. But it's also expensive. It's not really in everyone's price point, especially, like Randy is a really big fantasy fan. Leah likes fantasy and sci-fi a lot. Randy likes sci-fi too. I'm a really big romance fan. And authors in those spaces are not always just super flush with cash and ready to be able to drop thousands of dollars on developmental editing. And so we were like, how can we give people access to editorial feedback in a way that is a lot more cost effective for them, and accessible, and kind of removing some of the massive financial gatekeeping barriers that there are to that, but in a way that's still reasonable for us, right? Like we can't do a full developmental edit on somebody's manuscript for $15. Like that's just not financially reasonable for us either in our time. So that's where we came up with this idea of the Athenaeum and kind of some of the services that we're offering for it. So everything, our big thing is that you have an access to an editor in every room. Every space is instruction, every space is feedback. So we have daily writing sprints. I think y'all were talking about that at the beginning. We call it the scriptorium because everything is Greek themed and a lot of, although we're a little bit of a contradiction. We're the Athenaeum, which is Athena, but it's also all Latin, not Greek. So, don't look. Is it
The Romans robbed from the Greeks? It's okay. It's okay. It's in the same vein, right?
Don't
Also, I feel like this should be the Athenaeum, the goddess of war, right? So this should be the rally point. Should be the Athenaeum.
Yeah, too bad. We already took it. But
Athenaeum
anyway,
sounds like a fantasy metal made up by somebody writing a Greek-themed fantasy world, right? Doesn't Athenaeum sound like some like blessed by Athena shit or something? Like that's just what it sounds like to me. Like, is an Athenaeum a thing? Like, is that a word? What does that mean?
it is actual word. It's a like an institute of learning.
Perfect.
Issues
I didn't
about
know that. I learned a new thing today.
Yeah.
And we were having a big problem because we were trying to think of like the writers, like blah 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 academy and but in Texas you can't end anything with institute or academy unless you're actually a certified institute or academy. So
Yeah.
all that stuff was immediately we couldn't do anything with that. So we went around and got to the root of the word, so to speak.
Makes sense.
So we have the intention there without the words that have to be approved by the State Board of Education. That was we had some really good ones too that had academy and institute in them, and all axed. Those are available
Narrative,
because nobody can have them unless you're actually accredited.
even Narrative Nexus was taken
Yeah,
down.
a
Like
lot of
Really?
yeah,
yeah, someone already had that one.
yeah.
I don't know. You
And
know,
the one we
I'm
really
coming.
wanted, the one we finally found was taken by a lewd comic book company of some sort. And Laura's like, only if we can buy them out. It's like, I just don't want to give those guys money.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, if you sifted out either like, you know, adult flavored romance and lewd comic book, that's like 80% of the publication industry now. So I think you're pushing uphill if you want to sidestep that.
I mean, I just don't know how much people drawing dirty comic books really want feedback from us. So, you know, the brand contamination was a little bit too much. We walked away from that one. But
I don't know. Maybe they really like editing. I don't know. Maybe there's a strong editing culture in that industry. I'm not familiar enough with it to have an opinion.
I don't have the expertise to offer. So
It's a trap. It's a trap. Oh.
so yeah, anyway, we have the scriptorium is our daily sprints, but we call them skill sprints because we focus on a skill. So every week we have a focus skill for the whole community. There's a training video that drops on Sundays that goes over the skill. Like this week we're focusing on hooks, and there are daily practice exercises. You can go on and, you know, look at instructions and examples and then complete an exercise, and we actually go through and give feedback to everybody who completes those daily exercises. And then if you show up to the skill sprints, we spend the first 10 minutes or so looking at the skill that we're focusing on. So we're doing, like I said, we're doing hooks this week. We looked at by genre the first sentence of 3 different books and looked at the kinds of hooks that are present. How did they hook you? What questions are you asking? How are they creating genre appropriate stakes and that sort of thing? How is there range and difference within there? But then how is there similarity that's showing the consistency across the genres? And then, of course, people at the end of, you know, when we do that for the first 10 minutes or so in the sprints, and then people write, and then at the end they can share what they worked on and what they wrote. And if they wrote a hook, they can share that hook and get feedback right then from an editor. So it's
That's
allowing
awesome.
people to have instruction and feedback, training and feedback from editors in a way that's not, you know, dropping a few grand on a developmental edit.
That makes sense. I mean, you get like the kind of benefits of writing in a small audience with presumably people you'll eventually be friends with. You'll kind of hang out and you can bounce things off each other. But then you've got kind of a curator in the room with a little bit of formal training that can put a bit of editor stank on top of it. That's awesome. That sounds like a cool model.
Yeah, and then we got a number of other things that are not a, I guess, intuition or not intuitional, aren't in
Intuitive.
what's the word I'm looking for?
Intuitive.
Intuitive. There we go. I'm an editor. So not intuitive. So we got a hot seat where someone submits us a scene, and then the editor kind of dissects it in front of whoever shows up to show like, hey, how do we make this more compelling? What's good right now? What's okay, but how do we make the okay better? And what's distracting from the reader, and how do we take that part and make it better so that the whole scene works better. And so I think that'll be really useful to the people who sign up for the course.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. That's awesome. That sounds like a fun thing. I look forward to seeing. I mean, it's like everything else, right? You do it for 3 months, 6 months, and then you'll know what's working, what's not working, what you want to tweak, and what you don't. I'm curious to see how it goes.
Yep. And then we got all these other Greek words or Latin words. What are they? The tabula and the fenilium and the
No, you're just making stuff up. We do have the tabula. The tabula is publication opportunities. So that's where we post writing contests that are happening, publications that accept. So that they're all tagged so you can sort them by genre or competitiveness or length. You know, is it a short story or a flash fiction, or is it full length novels or whatever? So you can look for opportunities to actually get published. We have agents there, publishers, all kinds of different publication opportunities. The practicum is the daily exercises that we mentioned. The emporium is just a place where we post our private services. So if you, like I said, our main goal is to make editorial access and training and feedback accessible, but we do have things available if you want to hire a writing coach, if you want to have a developmental edit, if you're interested in those sorts of things, that there is a space where you can go and look for those things and find them. Let's see. I have all of the stuff I can just look and say. Oh, we have the Agora. That's for celebration. So self-promotion, basically. We've got a special like promote yourself area where you can go and tell everybody about your.
What does Agora mean? Does that mean happy?
It's the
No,
marketplace.
Agora
That's
is
the
a
old marketplace in Greece.
yeah.
Oh,
I took
All right.
Greek. I took ancient Greek for like 2 years in college, so I actually know ancient Greek. I knew at one point ancient Greek relatively well. Like not so much anymore. It fades fast. Got replaced by Spanish. But
We should have had him when we were building it.
I mean, we're still building, so he's here.
yeah, no kidding,
Throw out
right?
any mighty words, Dan.
But no, there's a lot of good ones out there. But yeah, the Agora, it's great. I mean, it's funny. I actually have a little bit of a pet peeve about authors supporting authors' rooms because I always wonder what they're for. Like, there's a million of them on Facebook. You're like, authors support authors. Like, but I'm trying to market to not authors, presumably. Like, I mean, it's nice for a little positive feedback, but usually I'm trying to get the book out to people who aren't also trying to get books out. So it feels a little weird sometimes. But yeah, I mean, it's
So-
good practice place.
Yeah, and
So-
it's a space for celebration too. So like it doesn't even have to be come buy my book. It can be like I finished my first draft or I finished my outline or just
That makes
a
perfect sense.
place to
And
be.
also, I've seen some groups work this better than others, but it's like, hey, I'm working on my launch for my book. Here's my cover. What do you guys think? So you get a bunch of other authors who've gone through this. Is my cover the right one for my book? And is it the right colors? And can I read the title because the color conflicts aren't good enough or whatever? And getting honest feedback from whoever's willing to give it. And ideally everyone wants to help everyone else and get help when they need help, so everyone just puts in something and gives them their personal feedback.
No, I love that. That's one of my favorite part about those sorts of communities is getting objective feedback. Your friends and family won't give it to you, and we've discussed this before on the show that like you've got to go to somebody outside of your circle if you want it. And so presumably a group like this is a good chance to really have people tell you like, nah, that just sucks. It doesn't resonate with me. And I mean, you'll get people who pad it more or less, but it's really useful to hear. So if you can go to a place and get it, that's got value.
Yeah, I will, and I think I love what you said about like your friends and family won't give you honest feedback. I mean,
Bitch won't.
the problem is that some of them, a lot of them think that they are giving you honest feedback. And I can't remember, I feel like it was Wired for Story, but I've read so many craft books, I can't remember. But one of them talks a lot about neurobiology and how it affects story. And which is why I feel like it was from there. She talks about the fact that it literally is involuntary in some cases they're not. Like in some cases they're really sparing your feelings and trying to be nice to you. But in a lot of cases, people are not able to separate their emotions about a person and a product. And this is why when your 4-year-old makes you a ceramic in preschool and brings it home, you love it and you put it on the shelf and you can't throw it away even when they're 25 because you have feelings about the person who produced that art, even though it's a lump of clay. Like it's trash. It's terrible. But any parent can tell you, like, it doesn't matter because I love that person so much that I love the thing that person made. And I can't look at the thing objectively.
No, you're right. That's a more useful way of putting it, saying your friends and family will give you honest feedback. It's just they won't give you useful feedback because everybody doesn't have that emotional bias, right? Like the average Amazon buyer doesn't care about my memoir and wasn't a part of it. And so they're gonna view it with a much harsher lens than somebody who's like, oh, I was there. Hey, we're talking about stuff I remember. I could be the 4-year-old and you're buying my ashtray, so to speak. And yeah, it would be nice to be in a place where you can just get that. And so hopefully the group, I guess maybe it gets trickier as you get to know the people better. But at least initially, you probably don't know them well enough, and they're like, "Nah, I really just don't like it." That could be handy.
Oh, and I feel like in writing communities, even when people do get to know each other, they're still pretty honest about their feedback. There's something about being in a writing community that people are like, I will never conflate my feelings for you and for your work.
Well, I guess maybe I just don't hang out in the right writing rooms or the wrong writing rooms. I don't know. It sounds kind of hateful. So hopefully it doesn't get too brutal. Oh man.
Yeah, so we've got recommended reading in the canon, which is the core books, Randy, since all my names that he keeps making fun of.
I like canon. Canon works. I mean, that's like that's kind of got the nerd vibe too, right? Everybody talks about what's canon and what isn't canon. That kind of
Right.
fits the theme.
Sounds very military.
Canon. Well, you
Like,
put
not blowing
doctrine.
things
It's
up
not the
with canon,
doctrine, right? That would be just like, you can't do that.
No, like shooting a cannon.
no, we're not doing canon. No shooting.
Oh man.
Yeah, and then I mean, the idea is that we just expand this. I think there's a couple courses we're going to offer over the next 30 days, like a course on how to write scenes. Right, that's the first one's coming out.
So I'm still collecting feedback from our membership on what we're going to launch first. It'll either be scene writing or novel outlining. Those are the two that we're focused on most right now. And that'll be the same kind of situation where all you have to do is be a member our tier 2 members can get the handouts, they can attend the live trainings, they can watch the recorded trainings, they can get all the information to go and do the things on their own, and they're getting that live training and input from the editor. Now, if you want to meet with someone one-on-one and get feedback, if you're doing your outline, you can show up to the training. We can talk about the first piece of the outline and why it's important and what it means and how you do it. And then I give you this stuff and you go do it on your own. And all you have to do to be able to participate in that is be a member. If you want to meet with me or with Randy or with one of the other editors that work at the Athenaeum, then that will be a little bit, that'll be a separate situation where you have to pay for that course as a kind of a one-off thing. And then you get to meet one-on-one and we look over your individual outline and give you feedback on that.
Bridging solution, right? It's like a bridging solution between full-on developmental edit and chat group with like a moderator. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's kind of a scalable business model. I mean, it seems to make practical sense, and hopefully it resonates. It's like you said, a lot of the writers out there that are looking for this kind of support, they don't have the resources. I mean, they're doing this as a side hustle, right? They don't have the resources to sink thousands of dollars into a book, and so good way to make it a little more accessible for them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as I'm thinking of this, the Agora is the marketplace. Like, you should retheme the Agora channel to be publication and marketing, right? Like, it's going to be all the question and answer surrounding getting your book out there. Like, to me, the Agora, that's where you sell things. That's where the Greeks sell things. Like, I don't know. I'm just thinking of your Greek names and like the themes behind your different rooms here. But are y'all going to do support for launching to publication? Like, how do you actually turn it from manuscript into book?
I mean, that's
what you for.
I'm just wondering. I'm always just looking at niches. Like, it's but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's just one more of those holes in the process. But
that's where we bring you on for an author interview, and we have you tell everybody all about how to do that.
How to do that? How to stumble through this disaster that is self-publication? It's good. It works. Works every time.
You stumble very nicely, Dan. You're an excellent stumbler.
It's apparently so, making it look graceful. Actually, I don't know, Randy. So the next project's up though. We got one more. The first story is done in the next book, and so I think you're going to contribute a story too, right? Aren't you going to write one too? Aren't you going to write one of the 10?
Yeah. So this is Dan's next book, Laura. I don't know if we've talked about this, where he's assembling a bunch of war stories from all the people that he's known that have interesting stories, and I'm not sure which one. I don't know which one I want to send at you, Dan. We haven't really talked about that.
Is there like a theme to the anthology, or is it just war stories in general?
So I'm going back and forth. I want it to be, I think I'm going to make it the GWAT. I definitely want the stories to just be chronological. I almost like the straight, like, splatter model of just, they're going to be chronological, and that is the theme. They will be third person narrative. It's going to describe a person in a scene. It's going to have the same kind of rough feel, but it's just going to be all the things that were happening during this period that was called the GWAT. But we talked to Randy, and we might move toward another theme, and they could all be kind of humorous. They could all be kind of, but I almost like just to throw it all at the wall, and just like chronologically, you're going to read about different people and different scenes, and each one is going to be like date, first name of the person, and you're going to paint the picture of this story, and then you move to the next story, and you move to the next story, and that's really how the GWAT was. So I kind of like capturing it that way, but I don't know. I'll have to see how a couple of them fit together, I guess.
So I can see that working. Well, I mean, if you think about the chicken soup books, or the everything I learned in kindergarten books. They're all themed in some way, like whether it was you write a bunch of, relationship stories with them and their families in the back of the rear, or actual war stories in Iraq, and as opposed to Afghanistan, as opposed to support in Kuwait, and I'm sure you could get 10 or 15 for each one of those places. And then also they were deployed in Asia and they were deployed in South America. But I can also see what you're saying, which is in year 2005, this is the breadth of what was going on throughout the army, Green Beret, the military. We were in Syria and Afghanistan, Iraq, and there were some people in Colombia, and there was people in here in Kuwait supporting all the people in South Africa, and there was people in Miami support. I could see something like that where you're saying a year in the life of the military, and showing the reader the breadth of the military operations that they really didn't even know was going on.
So to bridge it back to what you were talking about earlier, with kind of more like the Athenaeum flavor, I've just finished the Ursula Le Guin's, like the Earthsea books. I'm reading this giant anthology on them, and I'm just reading through her collection of short stories, which is I think book 4 or 5 or something. It's in one book, so I don't really know what the numbers are anymore. But one of the things I love about that is you step into this world. You don't know what you're reading at the beginning of each story. She paints the picture. They almost all start kind of fuzzy and draw into focus as you go. And then you realize you're reading about this thing that, oh, I've heard of that thing. I know what this is. It fits into her world, but you don't know it when you start. And so when you read through them, they look very disconnected. Like each one is like, where am I now? You've just taken me into this new place. I don't know where I am. I don't know who this dude is that I'm reading about. And then you read and you're like, oh, this is how it fits. And I think a book about, a slice of years in the GWAT would feel similarly when you kind of zoom out and you kind of get it into focus and you're like, oh, wow, that's what was doing. So that's next to what this guy was doing. And I feel like it might feel similar. That's my goal anyway. That's where I kind of vision looking forward, but who knows? Maybe it won't work. I probably work good enough, but who knows?
I mean, the best way you could do it is like this guy's in Afghanistan, and then the next one's this guy supporting him from Germany, and
So like
then
hop it to like literally like hop it person. Now that would be really, really pretty. Like if you could have that.
that's pushing people out of Florida to the people in Afghanistan. And then the next one is, the commander saying, hey, we were required to send a team to Iraq. So they're all part of the same unit, but they're all serving in different. And then at the same time, there's a bunch of people in South America or something like that, right?
It would be awesome to stitch that neatly. I don't know if I could do that because it's nonfiction, so I have to find the people that do it. But Laura, you were going to say something. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just thinking, I mean, I think it depends on how you want the reader to experience the book. I mean, if you want the reader to pick it up and consume it, then you probably want a theme. Like you want to you want it to be more unified, because if every story is reorienting, you're having to, I mean, you're going to have to reorient to some extent already because it's an anthology. So it's a new person, it's a new place, it's a new situation. If it's also a new, if there's nothing unified, it's a new emotional temperature. This story like made me sob and the story made me laugh, and we're just kind of going all over the place. Then it's going to be much more of a read one story, put the book down, come back to it later kind of a situation, which is not a wrong way to experience a book. Versus if you want people to, if you're going for more of a binge approach, then I would think that you want to have something that is unifying. And I haven't read the Ursula K. Le Guin one that you mentioned, but if it's similar to others that I have read, what you see a lot, if it's one author's and like a single author anthology. I have one that I'm looking at right now. It's behind my computer on the other bookshelf because my office is just bookshelves everywhere. But it's an anthology of short stories that goes with her series. Mostly her series is full-length novels, but there are short stories that fit throughout. And you can actually go on her website and find, like, you read this short story from this anthology in between this book and this book, and you read this one here, and so it's not like the book is not designed to be picked up and just read start to finish. And I actually tried when I first got it because I didn't know that. And I tried to start just reading it through, and I couldn't because I was so disoriented. I was like, who are these people in these situations and what's going on? And then I found out that they're basically bridges between the novels. And so you finish book 2 and then you read the short story and then you start book 3. And I was like, oh, okay, it makes sense now. I like this. This is a positive experience instead of a confusing, disorienting experience.
So what you just said to me speaks to something that y'all harp on a lot, which is super important, which is like selecting a target audience, right? Like obviously that author wrote that book for like Uber fans who are looking to complete their knowledge of this world and this series. And so I guess they're willing to kind of tolerate that. Which I mean, to your point, like you said, it's a little disorienting. So like if a person picked that up for the first time, they're like, I don't really like this. But if you've read the other books in the series, then it makes it all plug together and really nice, it really fit nicely. So in my head, I've really taken to heart what y'all talked about with target audience, and obviously, studying advertising a lot has really made this like acutely like relevant. Is like, well, really, you're just selling to these certain people, and honestly, the people who read my books in this case, pretty solidly military veteran. I've got the age demographic nailed pretty well. I mean, I broadened out of that a little, but not a lot. And so, I think, long story long, to say that they would be willing to accept a little more disorientation from story to story because they have so much background knowledge on what they're reading about that to them, this really is filling in the gaps. They're like, oh, Area 4. Area 4 by BIOP. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Like if you're a fresh person and you have no military experience and you've never heard of Iraq, you start talking about Baghdad International and Area 4, you're like, the hell are you talking about? I don't get it. Like, oh, Iraq. Okay, so, K2. Oh, you're on your way in or out. Or, Manus. Oh, you're on your way in or out. So I think that if you're writing to a certain demographic, a lot of that can be handled because they'll find the disorientation kind of like familiar and fun. It's and like, oh, new story. This is awesome. Where am I getting into now? Whereas obviously a fresh person, that knew nothing about the military wouldn't. But that's kind of a working hypothesis. Again, I gotta throw some together and see how this works. But that's kind of where I am or thinking about right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's if that's your audience and you know that that's how they're going to approach it, then there's definitely an argument to be made for that. There's another anthology that I just thought of short stories by a different author, and it's all prequel. It all happens before the core series, but on her reading recommendations, you're not supposed to read it until after you've read like the first 3 books. And then you read it because at that point it's not disorienting. It's filling in all of these gaps that you didn't realize.
Because it's referring to things that would be meaningless to you if you'd never read the series. I mean, it's like watching the Star Wars prequels. Like, whether you think they're good or not, like the kind of tragedy of Anakin becoming Darth Vader doesn't mean anything if you haven't seen the original series, right? It's just like, well, what's wrong with us? This bitchy kid, the center of the story. Why do we care? Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. We had to do a really serious editing discussion. Like we were talking about a writers group, and then all of a sudden we're talking about like some deep editing, like Q&A, and like how do you structure a book and how do you make people want to engage with this?
And
got pretty
that's
heavy.
see in the Writers Athenaeum.
No, but that's there's truth to that, right? Like this is what happens if you put people together and you start discussing stuff. You'll get different POVs. You'll get different perspectives on issues. Like you can have a group of educated people that disagree on like, well, we'll structure it this way. Like, well, that's fine. It's good. It's good when people disagree, and then we can kind of talk through it. And like, well, I heard that. I think I'm going to go with this because that's kind of what I'm shooting for. And hey, at least you got a couple educated opinions to make a decision with. And so, yeah, it's awesome. It's a cool concept.
And the idea is that all 3 of us are pretty well read and have electricity. All
Sometimes.
3 of us are pretty well read, so we're like, hey, it's kind of like this book or this book or this book, as opposed to you just kind of going on what you've read, what you've been exposed to. I know Laura's probably read 1,000 books. I've probably read 1,000 books, in my military career alone while I was sitting on planes for my whole half my life. And you've probably read 1,000 books. So, but we all read different books and, hey, I want to write it kind of like this. It's like, well, you might want to think about this or add a little bit of that. And that's ideally what we're going to get in these little, these kind of communities that we built too.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like the idea that you can bring your idea in there. People are like, no, it just doesn't work for me. And not that because I hate it. It's just like I don't understand what you're getting at. Because sometimes that's really good to know, and then you can clarify it. Or like, no, let me explain it a little better. Like, oh, I do see what you're getting at, but you get me over that hump. So you got to adjust a few things because what you're shooting for is not working. Like the first guy that wrote a choose your own adventure book with all the little like turn to page whatevers. Must have had a really serious like reader hurdle to get the editor to be like, wait a minute, what? Like I'm gonna turn to why am I doing this? This is confusing. He was like, no, it's really gonna work. You're gonna love it. And there's 8-year-olds everywhere. They rejoice that they produce these things, but man, really confusing the first time you pick one up. Yeah.
Yep. I was talking about that in another editor Q&A type call last week before, about like comp analysis and figuring out, like, what are your comp titles? How are things done? And what if you want to do something that's different? What if you want to do something that's outside of that? And my response was basically, make sure you plan on self-publishing. Because and the thing is, that doesn't mean that you won't be traditionally published, but it means you're going to start off self-publishing, and then if it's a good idea and it takes off, a publisher will notice and they'll make overtures, and you can decide whether or not to accept those or not. But they're not risk takers. Publishers are very risk averse people, and so if you're doing something that is, like, this is how it works, this is how all of the books are done, and you're like, but I want to do something really off the wall here. Like I'm gonna do it different. And it's like, that's fine. Try it. All of the best ideas came from somebody who was like, but what if I do something very different? However,
Well, the whole idea of being like avant-garde is it's like a chicken and the egg game, right? Like, okay, so the first person to think of a cool idea, nobody's going to take that seriously. And now eventually it might catch on. Like let's imagine Anthony Burgess was like a self-published dude when he wrote Clockwork Orange. First editor to pick out was like, absolutely not. But then it can work the other way too, where if you are an established figure and you launch something avant-garde, it could have like this like super movement all unto itself. Like, oh, so-and-so did it. It's got to be good, right? But until you're that guy, no, it's not gonna work for you. To your point, like if you're gonna do something really edgy, yeah, you're gonna self-publish it. And if it has merit, it'll pick up enough and you can run with it and you could become the new figure who creates edgy things. Until then, I mean, it's just, yeah, again, keep a day job, right? Keep a day job.
Yeah.
It's just like when I invented Uber Eats. And it was called Food Dudes in 1997 in Fayetteville. I delivered from restaurants all over Fayetteville. And then they won't invest in it. They're like, that'll never work. How are you going to make money? And so
Who
I
would
closed.
pay people money to go get them food? That doesn't make any sense. Like, who would pay 30% markup to go bring them a cup of coffee?
And then give you a tip on top of that.
Apparently, a lot of people.
That's right.
Anyway.
20 years later, man.
You just missed your window. Your idea was it was before its time, Randy. You were just a little too edgy.
Well, and that's a really important point, though, because the things that are outside the norm, when I see them getting picked up as self-published books by publishers, it's never the first person who did it that gets picked up. It's never the first book. It's somebody who came along later, and it's something that I am like, oh, well, that's never going to be traditionally published. And then a few years later, you see it on the shelf in Walmart, and you're like, oh, okay, like y'all made it. Good job with your niche genre, but it wasn't the first series. It wasn't even the first author. It was somebody went out there and was like, I'm going to do what I want to do, and self-published it, and had to mark out that trail for the people who came behind.
I mean, it's a reality, right? The trad publishing world is a business, and business work on things like quarterly profits and profit and loss statements and risk and benefit decisions. And so if you think it works any other way, like then you just don't understand the math behind it, right? Like they're going to make the money. And if the money is, I could release a new leather bound set of C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia, and that will generate this much revenue. Or I could take a shot on your book that is written right to left, back to front because it's edgy. You're like, nope. It doesn't matter if it's the most beautiful thing they've ever seen. Like, I'm not going to do it. It won't sell. And that's just sad reality. But maybe it's not even sad, but it just is reality.
But the wonderful thing is that we live in a day and age where anyone can put a book up on Amazon. And that means there's a lot of trash up there. But it also means that if you are doing something different, something that you can't interest publishers in, that doesn't mean that you can't still do it. You can't still publish it, and you can't still get it into the hands of readers.
No, I agree. It's the total best part of the world right now, in the publication world now, is that the labor of love, you can absolutely get it out there. You can get it out to anybody. I mean, I'm living proof. You don't need to be trad published to at least make some money publishing. You can, eventually you can live on it. You make a little bit more, maybe you can. But the wildest, craziest shit you ever wanted to write, you can release it. Amazon will filter it out if you get too wild. Although I think you got to go pretty far over the top before that happens. But generally, you can release pretty much anything, right, wrong, or different.
I'm telling you, the series that I was referring to a minute ago, the like the Fringe kind of thing. I've read it, and I've read the other stuff by this author, and I'm telling you what, I mean, they're not Nazis, but like it's all of the things. It's all of the kinds of graphic, like the creativity of the violence in this book is next level. The creativity of the adult content is next level. The graphic nature of all of it is, it's just like if you want to shock people, it's that definitely kind of series. Like I said, it's just on the shelf in Walmart on the end cap. Like the Overton window has, there is none. You can do what you want.
Do anything you want, and if it makes enough money, anybody will carry it. It's true. Like Walmart, right there next to the jelly beans at the checkout aisle. Absolutely, let your kids buy it. Like, maybe that's a different problem, but it's not what we're talking about. Yeah. I'm sorry, I do have to cut out pretty soon, though.
In your title. If you put a bad word in your title, you can't sell the book anywhere.
And there's like 5 extremist things that just know, right? They're going to run it through an AI filter. They're going to scrub it. If you have X, Y, or Z word in there, it's not going to get released. And like, I maybe just know that. Oh, speaking of, I'm sorry, I have a, for me at least, a parting shot. I know you're going to continue. AI detection software. I had a really colorful experience with it. So I write for the local newspaper, and I wrote an article. I just sat and tapped it up on Google Docs. I wrote it up. I sent it to the guy, and then on a whim, I was like, I'm going to run this through. Like, what are these AI, these little detection softwares? It's like 90% machine written. Like, what the? How the hell does that even work? Like, what? Like, does anybody trust those things at all? I don't know. It pissed me off a little bit, and I was like, some kid is going to fail out of college because he ran his paper that he typed up through that, and it said 90% likely to be machine written. And like, I didn't use any AI to write it, so I don't know. Luckily, it doesn't matter, and nobody's going to come after me for it. But it did bother me. That's weird because it's one of those weird like thought crime sorts of things where you're like, the machine said you were guilty, like, but well, I'm not. Anyway, I don't know.
I like that Tom Cruise movie, whatever.
Minority Report kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. Where it's like pre-crime, like, well, you did the crime, like, but I really didn't.
They just had
crime.
a new update to that with the Chris Pratt one too, where it did the same kind of thing.
Yeah, there's like a judge thing where it's like AI judges that like judge you. Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. Yeah,
out of it. Like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I just had a client send me his article that he sent to a military journal, and it sent me what the editor said, and it was like, hey, we put this through the AI checker, and you're over 60%, and we think you have a really good theme here, but you need to reduce it to 20%. I don't know if you used AI or not. I'm not accusing you of that. I'm just saying this is our standard. And then he sent it to me. He's like, can you help me? And I was like, did you use AI? He's like, well, I used AI to edit. I was like, so, okay. So I gave him some feedback, like, hey, there's not enough detail here. This sounds very AI-ish, the vagueness of it and things like that. And he's like, I had all that in there. And then when the AI edited it, they told me to take it out. So I took it out. And I was like, well, I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
You listened to AI's recommendations, and then it sounded AI-ish. So yeah, it's just strange though. I don't know how those filters work, but I guess I'm living proof that if you don't think I'm full of shit, then it's like it doesn't work. Like whatever it's detecting, it's like it's definitely not foolproof. Anyway, just baffling. But yeah, I'm sympathetic. So the new game is going to be to figure out what sort of AI you can use to revise your paper so that other AI doesn't detect it as AI, right? It's just like this weird circular game of stupid. You're like, I think it's just moving all writing to the middle, right? It'll make the worst writers kind of 50%, but it's really going to bring down better writers who are like, nah, it doesn't sound real. Like, what? Okay.
I think Laura's got some pet peeves with the AI detectors and M dashes and some other things that she loves.
I write like AI. Okay, this is the it's an ongoing joke between me and a few other editor friends. Like all of the things that are on the list of AI uses M dashes. I love M dashes. Randy can tell you there's been lots of M dashes in my writing even before AI writing everything was a thing, which feels like it's been around forever, but really has only been around for like a year at this point. Like it's
short.
really
I
new.
agree.
But so it's weird because it's so ubiquitous so quickly. Although once the AI bubble bursts and it costs 20 grand to get a recipe off of Chat GPT, I think that'll change. But
No, you're right.
I mean the this not that constructions, like the word rather is an indicator of a this not that construction. I love the word rather. I love contrast to illustrate a point. So does AI. Okay, it writes like me. I don't write like it.
It's
That's
a
the important
plagiarism
phrase
machine.
for me.
I mean, at this point, it's not sentient. It's a plagiarism machine. It's designed to comb the internet and decide what good writing looks like, and so it's going to. So the whole idea seems a little flawed at this point. I don't know. With
Feel
how
honored
quickly we're relying on it.
that AI copies you, Laura. You're probably one of its primary go-tos. Like, oh, I got to
Absolutely.
make something hard. Where's Laura's stuff?
And when
Yes,
Skynet
you're
takes
right.
over, it'll keep you alive so that it can continue to produce new feedback. It'll just put you in a tube.
There we go. Well, I'll be the
I'm,
matrix.
I'm sorry. I do have to
All
go
right,
though.
no problem, man. Thanks for joining us next week.
Yeah, next week. I'll see you all next week.
All
Good
right,
talking to you
great.
both.
Bye.
So, do you want to do like a 2-3 minute spiel about each significant piece of the atrium, and then I'll send this to Ivy, and she'll split up what we just talked about, but she'll also say, "Hey, join us in the Writers Athenaeum. We have the tabula," and then you could actually share the screen and you could walk through it if you wanted to. You don't have to do it now; just something to think about, a presentation of that sort, and you don't even have to do it with me if you want to do a video that you've prepared some words for and you want to do that. But I think I could break that up and we could split that into, Instagram reels and TikTok reels and things like that.
I'm not opposed to that. I don't have a vision of what that would look like, but I'm not opposed to it for sure.
Okay.
So,
Okie dokie.
did you see the new spreadsheet I sent?
I haven't opened it yet, but I was going to look at it right after this.
Okay. I have it. You'll see on the tabs. Like I have the tabs broken out by like pre-work, week 1, there's 2 week 1 tabs, and then week 2, 3, 4. So
there's actually no way to turn the recording off in the middle of these things, is it?
Yeah. No, end room, not end recording.
Yeah.
But anyway, we can get off here.
Okay. All right. I'll give you a call in a second.
All right. Bye.